All right, guys, today's video is going to be another discussion slash opinion based video. And I know that many of you are eager to hear what I have to say about some of the curveballs that were thrown our way yesterday from Sony. I do think that there is some stuff that needs to be talked about, some stuff that Sony really dropped the ball with here. But at the same time, I think that there was a lot of really awesome stuff, a lot of stuff that really left me feeling even more excited about the launch of the PlayStation 5 and just feeling really, really good about going into next generation as a PlayStation fan. So what I'm going to do is kind of separate this video into two parts. The first part is going to be me talking about the positive, the good stuff, the stuff that, in my opinion, matters a lot more to me as somebody who is planning to buy a PS5, and why I, was sure to secure a pre-order as soon as I could. But talking about pre-orders, we are certainly going to have to discuss some of the not so good and flat out bad. And when it comes to the way Sony has handled pre-orders, wow, they really dropped the ball big time, and we will talk all about that. So this isn't necessarily going to be a recap video. I'm just letting you know now. If you want me to run over each announcement that was made at the event, that's not what you're going to get here. I just want to kind of give my overarching opinion and thoughts and highlight some of the stuff that really stood out to me as a PlayStation fan, again, as somebody who's looking forward to getting the PS5. So this is what we're going to be going over in the video. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification icon. But when it comes to the event itself, for me overall, I have to give it an A, because even though there were some weaker points during the event, and I think that some of the third-party stuff was a little bit questionable. I'm looking at things like Fortnite and Devil May Cry, mainly because these are the games you're going to have at your final big PS5 showcase. The stuff that was shown that was really good was really good. I'm specifically thinking about three things: Spider-Man Miles Morales gameplay, Demon Souls gameplay, and of course the God of War Ragnarok announcement, which to me that made the show. I had a really good feeling that Sony was going to tease, at the very least, the next God of War. And I think the big surprise is that apparently it's going to target a 2021 release. I think a lot of people were surprised by that because they were expecting a game like God of War to be sometime in 2022 or maybe even beyond that. And so ultimately what we're looking at here, in my opinion, is an extremely solid first year for the PS5. It's actually kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, because you're talking about at launch getting Demon Souls, which for me, that's my number one game, especially after seeing that gameplay. I cannot wait to play it. As somebody who's never played the original, I'm truly excited to experience this game for the first time. And I went back, I watched both the Spider-Man Miles Morales gameplay as well as the Demon Souls gameplay in 4K on my big screen TV, and I was blown away, man. They look absolutely incredible, and I just can't. The fact I'm going to have access to both of those games day one on the PS5, that they're launching with the PS5, I mean, that's incredible. So I am more than happy about that. And that's not to mention some of the other launch titles that has been confirmed, that Godfall is day one on the PS5 as well. We also have other games like Sackboy and Destruction All-Stars. And that's not to mention the third-party games as well, such as Call of Duty. And so I think a lot of the stuff that was shown off yesterday was great. They did have some strong third-party presence as well. We saw Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, which I think a lot of people are very, very excited about that. And I went back and watched that in 4K as well. And for a third-party multi-plat game, I'm assuming it's a multi-plat game, it looked really good. Same with Call of Duty. So anybody who had any fear about how multi-plats were going to look running on the PS5, same with Resident Evil Village, they look really, really good. So no worries there. There was some other stuff as well, some smaller stuff. They did show Deathloop a little bit more. That game looks okay. It's not really something I'm incredibly excited about, but it is a timed PS5 exclusive, and it looks pretty solid. But yeah, that God of War announcement, I think it's just the biggest tease ever, because I don't know. I thought that they were going to show a little bit more. I honestly thought that if they were going to tease God of War, the first thing you were going to hear was boy. It just really made sense that that's what they were going to do. But ultimately, guys, again, the first year of the PS5 is looking incredible. And I'm not saying that to oversell it. I mean, from my perspective, I'm going to be playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, and Godfall at the launch of the PS5 on top of any multi-plat games like Cyberpunk and Call of Duty. And then going into the first year of the PS5, I mean, some of the games I can think of off the top of my head, you're talking about Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Returnal, Gran Turismo 7, Ratchet and Clank. Like, are you kidding me? This, honestly, this is looking really, really, really good if you're a PlayStation fan and you're somebody who's planning on upgrading to the PS5 within the first year. A lot of content, and there's obviously stuff I'm missing. So the reason why I started this video highlighting this stuff is because this is the most important thing to me as a gamer, somebody who's looking forward to the next gen. What games am I going to be looking forward to? Sony seems to have that on lock. So talking about the price for just a moment here, it seems I was pretty much correct. $400 for the digital edition, $500 for the physical. You guys who watched that video, Sony's ace in the hole, I told you the PS5 was going to come in, at least the digital edition, at $400. They revealed the release date, so November 12th for certain regions of the world and November 19th for others. I don't have them listed here in front of me. I know that there's a lot of people who are pretty upset at the fact that they have to wait a week now after other people getting it, but it is what it is. It would have been nice if they could have done a simultaneous global launch, but you know, it's the closest thing we're going to get to that. So one last thing I do want to mention here is they did announce the PlayStation Plus collection. And my opinion on that is that's pretty cool. I don't have a problem with it. I really would appreciate if Sony could explicitly confirm that PlayStation Plus members will still be getting 2 free PS5 games, because if you go on the PlayStation blog, the way they worded it, they almost made it sound like we can anticipate getting PS4 games even if you're subscribed to PS Plus with the PS5. Like, I don't know how they're going to handle that. They didn't really make that clear. I wish they would clear that up. But the PS Plus collection seems pretty cool. You're basically just going to get a collection of PS4 games. So overall, I think the show was really solid, man. Again, like I had pretty high, well, I don't know if I want to say I had pretty high expectations, but my expectations that I did have were met and actually surpassed, because if you go on my Twitter, you'll see that my expectation was the price, release date, pre-order info, which Sony, again, dropped the ball big time with, Spider-Man gameplay and release date, Demon's Souls gameplay and release date, and seeing the UI. So the only thing we didn't get was the UI, but instead we got God of War, which, hey, I'll take that trade-off any day. So the fact that God of War showed up is a big deal to me. But yeah, ultimately I did secure my pre-order, and I'm really grateful that I was able to. Anybody who's been following this channel for a little while now, and anytime we've talked about pre-orders in the past, you know I've been very anxious about it. I've been very concerned. And a lot of you were like, oh, chill out, man. Don't worry. Sony's going to give us warning. And this is where we have to start talking about some of the other stuff regarding the PlayStation 5 and some of the curveballs that Sony threw yesterday. The first, and in my opinion, absolute worst one is with pre-orders. I cannot believe how badly Sony dropped the ball on this one, where if you go back, Eric Lempel said that, don't worry, we're not going to drop it on you at a moment's notice. And that's what they did. They said that pre-orders were going to go live tomorrow, which is actually today, but instead they went live yesterday, and things were just messy. They were chaotic, and there's a lot of people, because of the way Sony handled this situation, who wanted PS5s, who were ready to pre-order a PS5 and have one secured for day one, who are now not going to get it because of the way they handled this. And they straight up lied. Like, we got to be real here, guys. Sony straight up lied about the pre-order situation, and I am calling them out for that. You really messed this up. Even, like, I was scrambling yesterday to secure mine, as I'm sure anybody who was able to secure one was doing so. I know that some places pre-orders are going live now, but that's just a really messed up situation. If you're going to say tomorrow, make it tomorrow. I don't know how you could do that to your fans, where you say something like that and then literally an hour after saying they're going to go live tomorrow, they go live then. That's just not cool. And so there's a lot of people very upset, rightly so, about the situation. And this is where I think if you're going to call Sony out about anything that went down yesterday, that's the thing you need to call them out on. Of course, there's not really much they can do about it now. It is what it is. And all I can say is I feel very sorry for anybody who was really trying to get their hands on a pre-order and couldn't. That's just a really messed up situation, and I hope Sony can do something to make it up in some way to these people, because that's just really terrible. And it's so bad that Xbox's official Twitter account was actually taking shots at Sony for this, and you know what? Rightly so. Take shots, because Sony really dropped the ball big time with pre-orders. They could have handled it so much better, and this is one area where I will say it seems Microsoft is handling it 1,000 times better than Sony is, where, you know, Microsoft gives you like, you know, more than a week's notice. They give you the date, and they're saying soon that they're going to give you the time that they're going to go live, allowing their fans to be ready to pre-order at that exact moment. So anybody who wants one has a fair chance and a good chance at getting one. Sony, come on, man. Like, how many years have you been doing this? Absolutely unacceptable. But now we have to move on to another topic, which is cross-gen. And I know that many people are very eager to hear what I have to say about this. And so I'm going to let you know right off the bat, I'm not taking the fanboy approach. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't go in hard with Microsoft. I'm not going to sit here and defend every single thing I've said. I can admit that I was wrong in fully believing Sony, because Sony, again, this was kind of a lie that they told, and we have to acknowledge that Sony did not give any indication whatsoever that any of their games were going to be cross-gen on PlayStation 5. If anything, they did the opposite. They talked about how they believe in generations. They talked about how it's about, you know, prioritizing the PlayStation 5 and giving people a reason to upgrade. But we also can't jump the gun here, which I've seen a lot of people doing. A lot of people are saying things such as, well, now there's no reason to get a PS5 because they're doing the exact same thing Microsoft is. I need to make it as clear as I possibly can that Sony and Microsoft are still doing things very differently. Now, did Sony take a page from Microsoft's book to an extent? Yes. Did they take that page at the last moment and kind of just surprise everybody with it? Yes. And that's not cool. I will give Microsoft that credit as well, where Microsoft was very open, clear, and transparent from the beginning, and I'm a little bit frustrated that Sony was not. However, there are a lot of things here that people are not, in my opinion, fully understanding, and I'm going to, again, try to make it as clear as I can. First of all, and most importantly, I cannot sit here and say that I was 100% wrong and that Sony is now in the same exact boat that Microsoft is, because I would be lying. First and most importantly, Sony is still making PS5 only exclusives. They did announce that games such as Spider-Man Miles Morales and Horizon Forbidden West, and I'm focusing on the bigger games here, will be cross-generation, and they will be releasing on PS4. Horizon Forbidden West clearly being the most surprising, in my opinion anyway. However, games such as Demon's Souls Remake, as well as Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, are still PS5 only. And there was a little bit of confusion yesterday, and it really caught me off guard. I was live reacting to it, so obviously my reaction was a bit intense. But, you know, at the end of the Demon's Souls trailer that played yesterday, it said that it was going to be coming to PC as well as other consoles and platforms later on. I should have known right then and there that that was a huge error, and Sony has since confirmed that was a human mistake that was made. So they had to correct that. Does that mean that Demon's Souls will never one day make its way to PC? I don't know. It still could. But if anybody has any doubt that that was not a mistake, like a genuine mistake, it literally said it was coming to other consoles. So yeah, it's PS5 only. It's very surprising to me that a game like Demon's Souls is going to be PS5 only, but a game like Horizon Forbidden West isn't. This is honestly quite confusing to me, because I don't necessarily know what Sony's real plan or intention is here. Because if you want to if I were to ask you which of these two games is going to take more advantage of the PlayStation 5 hardware and potentially make it very difficult for it to run on the PS4, would it be a PlayStation 3 remake, or would it be a cutting-edge sequel such as Horizon Forbidden West? I think pretty much everybody would be in agreement that you would assume it would be Horizon Forbidden West. So with that knowledge, you would then anticipate that a game like Demon's Souls would be cross-gen and Horizon would not be. But we're kind of in an opposite boat here. Like, it's the other way around. And it's very confusing to me. However, I do need to make a couple things clear. What I said ultimately about cross-gen game development still stands. I said that it has the potential to affect game design from a fundamental level. And that's still very true, specifically with exclusive games. So what this tells me is that games like Spider-Man Miles Morales as well as Horizon Forbidden West will not be taking full advantage of specifically the PlayStation 5's SSD, because if it was, such as a game like Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which is taking full advantage of the SSD, they wouldn't be cross-gen because they just literally wouldn't be able to run on the PS4. So this tells me that these games are not specifically taking full advantage of it. However, again, I do need to emphasize, it is strange to think that a game like Demon's Souls is PS5 only. I don't think that game's taking full advantage of the PlayStation 5 either. So we could very well see a situation right now where Sony is basically picking and choosing, or it could be up to the developer. Okay? What I want to make clear is that that point still stands, and I was never wrong about that. However, this is where I have to acknowledge that I was very hard on Microsoft, and I expressed many times how I didn't want to see games get held back because of this. So naturally the argument then becomes, well, MBG, you must be a hypocrite, because if you said that Microsoft's games were going to get held back due to cross-gen development, then surely Sony's games are going to be held back as well. But here's the big difference, and I want you to understand this isn't me going defense mode, I'm just pointing out a fact. The fact of the matter is this: what Sony showed yesterday was way more impressive than anything Microsoft has shown so far. In fact, I still don't think Microsoft has shown any games running on the Xbox Series X. You guys need to understand, if when we saw that Halo Infinite gameplay demonstration, if they said this game is running on an Xbox Series X and it looked impressive, it looked next gen, it looked great, and people were just blown away by it, or very impressed by it at the very least, do you really think I would still be sitting here saying that I'm concerned about cross-gen development? Do you really think I'd be sitting here saying that Microsoft is taking the wrong approach? No, I wouldn't be, because how could I? They would have proven me wrong. In this case, Sony kind of did. What Sony has shown with Spider-Man Miles Morales and Horizon Forbidden West specifically, you guys know what my reaction to that game was. I said, this is the most next-gen looking game I've seen with Horizon, if the graphics are actually going to look that good. They have done an amazing job calming my fear about the potential downside of cross-gen development. Microsoft still hasn't. And I've seen this argument thrown up where it's like, well, Microsoft is the developer now with the most next-gen only games confirmed. And to me, this is just a bizarre argument to make. You're talking about games that are very clearly years away. You're talking about games like State of Decay 3, Fable, and Avowed. And yeah, those games have a lot of potential to be great, but do we really expect any of those games to drop next year? Or is it looking more likely that these are 2022, potentially 2023 games? So it would make a lot of sense that by the time we get to 2022 and 2023, same with Sony, that very few games, if any at all, are going to be cross-gen. So I won't lie, this was a huge curveball that Sony threw our way, and I am upset at the fact that they couldn't be more clear about this. I really wish they were, because it does make people like me look very foolish where, you know, you're taking a very clear opposite stand from Microsoft just to then have people like me say, yeah, I support this, but then immediately do somewhat, I don't want to say a 180, because again, we have to understand that there are still PS5 only games, and that's a huge, huge difference between Microsoft's stance. But still, to make it seem as though you're against cross-gen, basically, and you're not going to be doing cross-gen, and you're doing the exact opposite of your competition, and I support that because I think that is the better way to go about it, just to then basically be like, actually, half our games are going to be cross-gen. And make, you know, it has no choice, but it brings me to a point where I have no choice but to admit that I was wrong to an extent, but it's more along the lines of Sony proved to me something that Microsoft had an opportunity to prove and didn't. And I need people to understand that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with what I'm saying. In fact, I do think I'm correct, and I think I'm 100% correct about what I'm saying. Has Microsoft given us any reason to not question cross-gen game development, or did they actually do the opposite? Now, here's where I can admit I was wrong. When I look at a game like Halo Infinite and I harp on it and I say, this is why cross-gen game development is bad, maybe that's where I'm wrong. Maybe this whole time my perspective was kind of skewed and messed up, where maybe the reason why Halo Infinite looks the way it does and it's just not really impressive at all is not because it's a cross-gen game, but because it's just the incompetence of 343 Industries and the issues that they are having internally as a studio. I can 100% admit that, you know what, maybe this is where I was completely wrong. And maybe what it took was Sony proving that to me. Sony showing me what a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales can look like running on the PS5. What a game like Horizon Forbidden West can look like running on the PS5. They then tell me that, by the way, these games are coming to PS4, at which point I'm like, really? Like, these games don't seem like they should... I mean, maybe Spider-Man, you could argue, yeah, it's you know, the same engine, it's that Spider-Man PS4 was on, but I think you guys ultimately understand what I'm saying. At least I hope you understand what I'm saying. This is not a damage control video. Sony really did make some big mistakes yesterday. I think the biggest is easily the pre-order situation. I think the cross-gen thing, it's a little bit blown out of proportion because, again, people are running with certain narratives that are literally factually untrue. Like, Sony had, like, there's no reason to support the PS5 or buy one because there's no more exclusives or everything's cross-gen. You're factually wrong. Okay, there are games that are truly exclusive to the PS5 still. There is a game that's going to be exclusive to the PS5 day one, that being Demon's Souls, which I know that that's not for everybody, so some people might not care, but for me, that's my #1 game because I'm that excited for it. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm any less excited for a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales or Horizon Forbidden West because they're going to be cross-gen. I'm not. It does make me question why Sony decided to wait to reveal this information, but it doesn't make me any less excited for these games. And at the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to, people, the games. All right? I know I have these discussion and opinionated videos where I express my concern in some areas and people don't agree with it, and I can admit that there are many times where I am proven wrong. There are also many times where I am proven right. But at the end of the day, it only comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that is the games. So if Sony can achieve what they've achieved with Spider-Man Miles Morales and Horizon Forbidden West with cross-gen game development, then there's no reason that Microsoft shouldn't be able to do that either. And if Microsoft can convey or show games that look that good and also tell me they're cross-gen, then any fear I may have had about cross-gen will be pretty much completely erased, if it isn't already. So there you go. That's going to do it for the video, guys. It's already running longer than I wanted it to, so let me know your thoughts about all this down in the comments below. Again, we went over all the good and all the bad. I will be very interested to see what you have to say. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it or if you agree with me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.